I'm learning how to make sourdough at home after years of telling myself I didn't have the time. I want to enjoy bread more often by making it myself. I'm not an expert, this is me figuring it out as I go, showing what works, what doesn't, and what I've been learning along the way. This is the year I finally make sourdough from scratch. Welcome to the sourdough from scratch series. I want to make this as a way of keeping myself accountable. For the last 2 years I've had as one of my goals to make more bread more often. Last year specifically was to focus on sourdough, but I didn't do any sourdough last year, so this is the year I'm finally going to do it, and hopefully this, sharing it with you, will help me keep me on track and make me finally do it. For the last couple of years, probably not really been having bread that often. Purely I don't want the plastic, so I don't really tend to buy it. But I am a carb lover. I love my pasta, I love my bread. Sourdough especially. I like the airy texture of it, but also the crust. So I really want to try and make sourdough finally. A couple of years ago I was lucky enough to go to the Soilstone sourdough event that Matthew Cotswold's flour holds with Farm Ed. It was really insightful. There's some really good experts. They had Elaine come and talk about her sourdough. She brought some of the starters, got to ask some questions, which was really nice. It really inspired me kind of making my own bread, and actually it's not really as hard as sometimes you think it can be. She was talking about she doesn't feed her starter to then have discard that you have to get rid of. She feeds it kind of as she needs it. So hopefully I want to go more down that route, so then I'm not wasting it and I'm actually utilising it. She actually creates videos on YouTube as well, so you can always go check her out. And she actually does kind of discard or kind of quick recipes. And she was actually talking recently about using kind of hungry starter. Actually gives like an alcohol flavour to bakes without it being alcoholic. So she's got lots of really good tips. She's got a really useful blog and a couple of books as well, so she might be my resource that I'm looking towards as I kind of make my way through this bread making journey. I feel like I've finally got kind of all the tools, so I can't really put it off any longer. So let me show you what tools I've got and what I'm going to be utilising to get me started on this sourdough journey. So this is essentially my sourdough kit, I guess you could class it as. Some of them are optional bits, there are other alternatives you can do, but this is kind of what I've been building over the last year. This is a dried sourdough starter. I was gifted it by Bakery Bits at the end of last year. You don't definitely need a dry one. A sourdough starter literally starts with a mixture of water and flour, and it uses the natural kind of microbes in it to make it bubble and come alive. This hopefully will just make it a little bit easier for me. They do also do a live one in a tub that you can buy as well if you want to try and skip out the actual feeding it up and growing it portion. They also sent me some lanes and scrapers to use, and then I already had a kind of metal bench scraper divider from years. I've kind of been using it with sweet doughs when I make those. Obviously scales when you weigh out your water, your flour, when you're feeding your starter. And then the thing that I kind of really found last year, was it last May, an antiques market, was this enamel Dutch oven. So when I went to the sourdough event, Elaine had a metal one. So previously I'd only seen people kind of use the big cast iron ones. My small kitchen doesn't have space for that with all my baking bits. And this kind of fits in with a lot of my baking bits that I have, roasting tins, I have this kind of white and blue enamel. So when I found it, I think it's supposed to be £10. Ticket blew out, so I got it for 8. So this was really useful. I have started to make some bigger, I think you have pronounced it, bigger breads, which is like kind of an overnight starter you make bigger, and that's kind of your active bit for your bread, so it's a bit like sourdough. So I have made that a few times in here already, so it works quite nicely for sourdough or for like those crustier breads. These were kind of my more recent picks. So bread mat, again this was gifted from Bakery Bits. It's a silicone kind of bread mat, so it makes lifting bread out of your Dutch oven a lot easier, and it's obviously reusable because it's silicone rather than having to use compostable. Well, I'd use compostable parchment paper, but just parchment paper in general. Then these bits I found over Christmas.
Darling.
Yeah. In a charity shop, doing some shopping between Christmas and New Year. My sister likes to thrift. To be fair, didn't necessarily need this, but it came as part of a sourdough kit. It had a little recipe book, not an actual starter recipe though in it. So I was potentially just going to repurpose a jam jar that I had from my container, but there were some other bits in the kit that I wanted more. This was just kind of a beneficial thing. It'd obviously give me a lot more capacity to make a bigger starter depending on what I wanted to make, what I wanted to grow for. Had this little thing, I guess it's to maybe mark so you can see when it's maybe doubled, when you've last fed it, so I'll find that. It obviously had this plastic lid, and then it has this kind of cotton one. Oh, and there's a little temperature thing, don't quite know how the hell that works, figure that out. So I assume it's when you're feeding it, you'd have the cotton one on top. When it's maybe more resting dormant, maybe the solid one. Again, I will try and let you guys know. And then the main bits in the kit. So I actually kind of split the kit with my mum. So she's keeping a few bits. She got a few bits for me as presents throughout the year. And then obviously took a few of the bits to get started. And the baskets, the proving baskets were the main bits that I kind of wanted. There was a round one, obviously slightly bigger than my Dutch oven, but hopefully it will only rise a small amount, or I can control how much it rises. And there was like an oblong, more loaf style one as well, which mum's kept for a present. I'd tried proving ended up proving most of my baguettes in my Dutch oven, which obviously means that I can't stitch them, turn them out. So they're edible, tastes good, probably the finish, tightening of it could be worked on. I did try proving one in one of my enamel bowls like this, with a tea towel. It stuck to the tea towel. Probably the type of tea towel I used wasn't the best, might have been why. So the kit kind of looks like it kind of oil butters this, but there was this cloth in here which didn't look like it came with the kit. It looked like someone maybe added it too, or it just wasn't in any of the pictures when I googled it, for lining. So that's going to be my plan. I'm going to use this to line it. When I've seen people kind of use tea towels for their proving bits, they are smoother like this, not as toweling as the one I used, and then they tend to fold it over the top like that. So that kind of my final bit that I can't really put off anymore because I've got everything that I need to actually start making some sourdough. That is my kit that I'm going to be using kind of throughout the series. If I add anything, if I find anything useful, not useful, I will let you know. In the next part I will be actually starting off my sourdough starter, so stick around for that, and I will see you in the next episode.